Hello and welcome to this section of our course on CSS. In this video, I'm going to teach you how to use CSS width and also height. Aside that, I am also going to highlight and show you how to make your website more responsive. Okay, this is something that you don't want to mix, because I am going to take my time to explain to you some of the concepts and some of the things that you can bring into play to make your website responsive, especially when dealing with text. So once again, welcome and let's move on. So I have my p tag specified here, and inside the p tag I have some set of content. Okay, now if you don't know how I generated this content, it's very simple. You come inside the p and you type lorem, L-O-R-E-M. okay, and following the lorem is the number of words that you want to generate. In this case, I want to generate 30 words, so I type 30, then enter. Okay, the normal the words have been generated successfully, so it's now available. Everybody can see on the screen the 30 generated words. This is how come we generated the words you saw previously on the screen. Okay, so we have our content ready. Let us view it in the browser to see how things are looking like. All right, this is what we have. Okay, this is what we have. Let me set my content to 100%, and if I set it to 100%, I don't think my viewers can have the best look, so let me increase it so that they can enjoy themselves as they watch these tutorials. All right, okay, so let's minimize this one. Let's open the code editor and let's navigate to where we have our CSS file. Quickly, let's hold Ctrl or Command plus click, and then we have it here. All right, so let's start by giving some weight to our element. But before we give the weight, I will like us to look at how the content is in the browser, so that when we give the weight, we can know the changes. All right, so we can see that the content is starting from here to the end of the screen. Let's now change the weight. So I will change the weight to 500 pixels. Okay, let's refresh. Have you seen? So as we reduce the weight, you see the content on the screen has also changed, meaning that the CSS property or the styling has taken effect. All right, so that's all about the weight. And one thing that I want you to know is the p element, the paragraph element in HTML, this one is a block level element, and every block level element automatically have a weight of 100%. If it is a block level element, automatically it has a weight of 100%. So if we do not specify any weight for this particular element, if we fail to apply the weight property to this particular element, it is going to pick the default styling. So let me refresh and look at what happens. Okay, it is going to pick the default styling of 100%. That is why by default the element spans to the end of the screen. This is why it's happening this way. And also, you guys remember that I said in the previous lecture that HTML sees every element as a box. Okay, so for instance, if we uncomment this one and we go back to refresh it in the browser, you see it's a kind of box. You can see that it's a box, right? It has the width and then it has a height. All right, so every element is seen as a box in HTML CSS. That's a small thing I want to cover. So with the weight, you can give it any weight that you want, but at the moment I'm going to leave it as it is, and I would like us to move to a different property as well. What we are going to look next is another weight property called mean weight. So mean weight is just like the weight, yeah, it's just like the width property, but with the min width, it just as the name implies, it means the minimum width. Okay, so if we do not specify any width for the p element, since the p is a block level element, it is going to have a default width of 100% by default. Okay, that is what you are seeing on the screen right now. So if we come back to the code and specify a minimum width and say that, okay, minimum width is 900 pixels, okay, what is going to happen is when the page loads, the width of the block of the paragraph is going to be 100%. Okay, but as the screen reduces, it will also reduce, but the reduction will not, it will not be full. It will be reduced up to the point where the minimum width is 900 pixels, and from there it will not be reduced again. Let's see this in action. So by default it has a width of 100%, and we have given it the minimum width to be 900 pixels. So let's do something like this. Okay, let me go back to 100% so that things work out. Okay, by default it's 100%. So the moment we start to reduce it, you see that everything is working. Okay, but at some point in time, when it gets to the 900 pixel, you see this horizontal scroll bar here. This horizontal scroll bar is telling us that now the content is not fitting the screen. Why the content is not fitting the screen is the mean width that we gave is 900 pixels, and our screen, we have reduced the size of our screen to less than the 900 pixel. So as a result of that, what we are going to see is the horizontal, is the scroll bars. Okay, is the scroll bar indicating that the content does not fit the screen. So that is small. That is something small about the minimum width attribute. Okay, and minimum width is very, very great. In fact, it helps in responsive designs. When we get to the advanced topics of making your site responsive, I'm going to introduce this section back again so that we know how to work perfectly around them. Okay, we can also make it, instead of 900, you can make it 500. Then the screen can be reduced up to the point of 500 pixels, and anything less than 500 pixels will not be accepted by the browser. All right, so you can try that one in your own time. And just as you know, we have the minimum width, we also have the brother of the minimum width, which is also the max width. All right, so max width is just like the minimum width. If you really understood minimum width, then maximum width should not be something that you have to struggle with, because with the maximum width, it just tell the browser that, okay, browser, you can be reduced to any number that you want, but the maximum number that you can ever get to is 500 pixels. Okay, so let's see this in action. We have set the minimum width to be 500. Okay, so the moment we start to reduce our screen, see it's working. It can be reduced, but when we start to increase the width of the screen, it will also increase up to the point of the 500 pixels, and when it gets there, it will not increase again. All right, we've not gotten there, so it's increasing. Very good. This is the point where it hits the 500 pixel. Because we've hit the 500 pixel, it will not increase again. All right, so the max width is just like the minimum width. They are just like opposites. All right, they are opposite of each other. Okay, so we can combine the minimum width and the maximum width together as well. So minimum width, we give it width of 900 pixels, and then this is supposed to be maximum, rather max width. Then minimum width, we give the minimum width a width of 700 pixels. Okay, so before, this is what we have on the screen. The content is spanning to the end of the screen, and because it's a block level element, automatically it has a weight of 100%. So let's refresh it so that we can see the changes, what we just did. Okay, so as we refreshed, we have seen the changes on the screen, and the content is now taking the weight of 900 pixels. Okay, so you watch me closely. As I reduce the screen, you will see what will happen. Okay, so as I'm reducing the screen, it's working. You see that the content is responsive. When we say responsive, that means the horizontal scroll bar and the vertical, the horizontal scroll bar is not being seen. Each time you see a horizontal scroll bar at the bottom of your page, it means the site is not responsive. The content is not fitting the screen. Okay, as a web developer, you need to always make sure that your content will fit the screen nicely. Each time your content is not fitting the screen, it will affect your page. Especially with small mobile devices, when they access your site, they are not going to experience it very well. Okay, so you have to always try as much as possible to make your site responsive. Now we see that what we have on the screen is responsive, but as we keep on reducing, we see that the horizontal scroll bar man is up. You see this man is active here. This man is telling us that this site is not responsive. Okay, it's not responsive. The content is not fitting the screen. And why we are seeing it at this side is simply because we have set the minimum weight to be 700, so that with that the page, or the element will allow reducing, but it will not allow any reduction in the screen that is less than the 700 pixels. Okay, it accepts a reduction that is equal to or greater than 700 pixels. So once we hit the breakpoint of 700 pixels, we see that the horizontal man is active, telling us that our page is not responsive. Okay, so that is something small I want you guys. Okay, we also have another thing that I want to talk about. We have another weight value called fit content. With the fit content, what it does is it will give the element a weight that is equal to the content inside. Okay, and let me say this: by default, all inline level elements has a weight of fit content. As for inline element, they take only the space that they can occupy, only the space they can occupy in the page. And as for block level, they are automatically 100% weight. They take the whole weight. Okay, so if we set the weight of an element to fit content, we are telling the element that it should take up a weight that is equal to the content inside. So let's go to the browser and refresh. Okay, as we refresh, I hope you have seen it on the screen. It is taking the weight of the content inside. That is something small about the fit content. Okay, so in your own time, in your own free time, you can do some practicals on them, so that you can we can have something that maybe I didn't give in this lecture. Okay, so let's move on to the height property. So height is just like the width. Okay, let's for instance give our element a height of let's say 200 pixels. We go to the browser to refresh, and we will see that it now has the height of 200 pixels that we specified. We can as well give it the maximum height to be maybe let's say it has a maximum height of 50 pixels. Okay, let's comment this one out. Maximum height of 50 pixels. I explained this one earlier. Okay, the same explanation for the weight also applies here. What it means is the max height, the element will have a height that is less than or equal to 50 pixels. Okay, the element will have a height that is less than, should have a height that is less than or equal to 50 pixels. That means that if the element has height which is more than 50 pixels, that aspect is not going to be included. Okay, so let's refresh and see. Okay, for now our element has a height that is less than the 500 pixels, sorry, less than the 50 pixels, so it is being displayed correctly here. Now I want to add more content so that we can test things out. Let me copy this one and paste them a few times. Copy and paste 1, 2, and then 3. Okay, so I've pasted my content multiple times here, and let's come to check if we will see it in action. Very good. Okay, so if you can look at the screen, you will see that most of the content are not referenced. The background is not covering this aspect of the content. Okay, the main reason why we are seeing this is we have given our P element a width of 50 pixels, and the content inside the element is more than 50 pixels, but because we have specified the maximum height to be 50 pixels, it will only accept content of the height 50 pixels, and the rest, the remaining or the overflowing content, will not be included. Okay, so this is what we are seeing on the screen. This is what we are seeing on the screen. So if we can set this one to maybe 150 pixels, then it means that all content that is less than or equal to 150 pixels will be accepted. But if the content is greater than the 150 we have specified, then that aspect or that content will get out. It will not include it. It will leave it outside, like the way this one is outside. So let's refresh. Okay, now that we've set the maximum height to 150, we see all our content is sitting inside correctly, meaning that what we have inside the P element is less than the specified maximum height. Okay, so this is all about the maximum height. It's just like the width. We also have the minimum height, and you know what the minimum height does. The minimum height will simply set the minimum height for the element. Okay, set the minimum height for the element. So yes, and we have also the mean height, and also you can set the height property to the fit content that we did above here, above the side. Okay, so basically the mean height sets the minimum height that the content should have, and then the height of fit content simply sets the height of the element to the content that is in. Okay, it sets the element's height based on its content. So if its content is taking a height of 200 pixels, it will automatically gives it a height of 200 pixels. Okay, so in most cases fit content is going to be your best friend, because with fit content we use it when we don't know the actual height that we are going to be receiving or we are going to be having. Okay, so when that happens, the fit content will come into play and it will solve the problem for us. It will give us the desired result, so that we don't go about having our content overflowing. Okay, it will make everything fit in correctly and in contact as well. All right.